Bosunford to Wootton Warren
on the Stratford Canal.
We've got about 6 locks to do with you today, so we thought today was a perfect day to share with you some things that we have learnt about lock safety.
Is a really fun experience as long as you do it safely and make sure that you secure vulnerable members of your crew. For us, obviously that's the cats, but for other people that could be your dogs or small children or even big children.
Big children.
The first thing about doing a lock is pulling up to the lock landing. We have a rule that you don't leap from the boat onto the towpath because you don't know how level the towpath is, if there's any little dips, and a lot of accidents that we've heard of do happen when people are getting off their boats. They slip into the water, they fall over on the towpath, they sprain ankles, all that kind of stuff. It can be avoided by taking things slow and not rushing, and that's how we like to do things. So when we're approaching a lock landing, as we are now, I like to slow the boat down and pull in slowly. The safest place for me to let my crew off is from the stern of the boat, and so I pull that in close to the bank, and then I'm not too bothered about what the bow is doing at this point because I can pull it in with the centre line whilst I'm waiting at the lock if it goes too far. When you pull up at a lock landing, if you're going to leave your boat or whilst your crew is operating the lock, it's a good idea to secure your boat to one of the bollards. If you're going up a lock, then make sure it's definitely secured, because when your crew lets the water out of the lock, if it's full, it can take your boat off to the other side of the canal, and nobody wants that. Securing your boat is really easy. Wrap your rope around, do a little loop, tuck it under here, and pop that over the top. That's done. My boat's safe. I can now go and work the lock.
As the crew member today, I need to go set the lock, so the first thing I need to do is check that there's no boats coming the other way if the water is on their side. The water's actually on my side today, so I'm going to open the paddles to let some of the water in. Please remember to take your windlass off your paddle while you are waiting for your lock to fill or empty. These things have been known to lose their grip and the windlass fly off and hit people in the face, basically. Always keep your windlass with you unless it's in motion. The paddles control the water flow in the lock. There are 2 sets of paddles. There's the top set and the bottom set. The top set of paddles will let the water into the lock, and the bottom set of paddles will let the water out of the lock. When driving into the lock, I like to take it nice and slow, generally on tick over, because then if you are slightly off, even by a centimetre, and you do tap the side of the lock, you don't go bashing around as much. And there's no need to rush, because you don't get there any faster.
Lots of people like to get behind the gate and push them closed with their bottom or their backs, and I definitely do that when I'm opening the gate. I don't always do it when I'm closing the gate in some instances, because I don't like to get between the lock and the gate in case something does happen and the gate ricochets and can actually push you back into the canal. So you've kind of got to use your common sense with that one a little bit. Well, look at this. It is an aqueduct that comes from the pound across the aqueduct, which is over a river, and then to the lock. This is just stunning. And then on this side we have one of the barreled roof houses, cottages, that Stratford-upon-Avon Canal is so famous for. We're ticking all the boxes today.
Going down or up in a lock, the helmsperson is responsible for the safety of the boat. You have to be alert at all times. When you're going down, you need to be mindful of the sill. There are handy markers on the side of the lock that show you where you need to keep your boat forward of. When going down in narrow locks like this one, make sure you keep your fenders up, because you don't want to get wedged.
If you're the crew on the gate, it's your job at all times to keep an eye on the boat, because if anything happened, you would be required to drop the paddles to stop the water flow. Say if the boat got wedged or something else happened. We have a system where Kath will just beep the horn and I know to drop the paddles. Try to have a system that involves the horn, because if you're just going to have a system that involves yelling from the back of the boat, the person at the bow of the boat is not going to hear you. So we have that little system of blowing the horn.
generally control the position of the boat using the engine. So I'll just move the throttle forwards and backwards, just lightly if needed. What other people prefer to do is keep the boat as far forward as possible, and on a lot of locks there is a metal plate on the door for you to ride up or down. Obviously, if you're doing this, then the person outside of the boat is best place to keep an eye to make sure your fender doesn't get caught.
When exiting a lock, if you're the crew person, sometimes you can't see when the stern has exited the lock. Either way, even if you can, we usually do a wave or a thumbs up to say yes, it's time to close the gate, so that you kind of stay safe and you're all organized about it. When you're picking up your crew, sometimes you have a set of stairs that you can use. Sometimes you can get on at a bridge. Sometimes you can get on at the lock landing, like I'm about to here. And sometimes you can get on, if you see a bridge coming up in your future, you can kind of slow down at a bridge and pick up your crew that way.
As with everything else with lock operation, when you're leaving, I generally leave on tick over because I need to generally pick up the crew.
She does prefer it.
So you don't need to be going fast. There's no real need to give the engine a big because then you just have to into reverse to slow down again. So you're just burning more diesel. That's the whole point of being on the canal, is taking your time, enjoying what you're doing. Obviously, it's really easy to say when we're on a journey like this where we haven't come into contact with any other people, but just take your time, enjoy it. That's why you're here.
Also, we find if we're going too slow, because we do like to take our time, we'll just pull over and let other people pass.
Yeah.
It's not worth it for us to be in a convoy or to worry about anything. We have moored up now. The wind is whipping around the boat. The cats aren't even prepared to go outside, so we took all their toys out and they have just gone to sleep in the middle of all their toys.
We hope you've enjoyed coming down some locks with us today and learning a little bit more about how they work. If you would like to know more about locks, Canal and River Trust run open days throughout the winter where you get the opportunity to go down into a drained lock. Yes. We took you on a journey like that a couple of years ago, so I'll put a link in the description below to that video. And if you'd like to know how single-handed people operate locks, then we'll also put a link to a video from Cruising the Cut where he's explained how a single-handed person himself does a lock.
Yeah, we really hope you've enjoyed today's episode. Click the subscribe button because we've got a heap more cruising coming up, and the eagle-eyed amongst you might realise that we are heading towards a river. So yes. Now is the time to subscribe, especially if you love narrowboat cruising, narrowboat journeys like we do.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.